Cancel culture as a phenomenon has existed for centuries, but it was particularly observed and called so during the 2017 Me Too movement when there was an increasing amount of allegations against Harvey Weinstein for sexual misconduct. Many projects by accused parties were cancelled due to an increasing amount of public backlash on social media. And since then, we as a public have been holding celebrities accountable for every action, or are we? This cancel culture that we speak of seem to have different standards for rich, powerful, famous men as compared to women. Let's talk about that. I have grown up watching an increasing amount of hate and judgment being passed on celebrities. And honestly speaking, I was a part of some of them as well. I saw that some celebrities would be hated to the point that they would leave the public light. And even for the ones who were still present and still had a platform, people would hate them at every chance that they got. As a naive girl, I believed that cancel culture was really effective and celebrities were heavily scrutinized for even the tiniest amount of offense. And following the backlash, they would observe a dip in their career or fame. But after some thinking, I started feeling that this is not the case with everybody. I came to a realization pretty early on that a lot of female celebrities were not being held at the same standards as the male counterparts. I would notice that female celebrities would get trolled on their looks, on their behavior, and some would get trolled for their mannerisms or for whatever remarks that they have made. And many of these times, the hate was unjustified, at least the amount of hate that they got. For example, Rachel Zegler, she got a lot of social media hate when it was announced that she would play as Snow White in a Disney movie. People started attacking Rachel's appearance, saying that she's not beautiful enough to play Snow White. On top of that, whatever clips of her talking or of her interviews would surface, people would make fun of her mannerisms or for the most irrelevant reasons. Another example is Katherine Heigl. She was called rude, disrespectful, and ungrateful just because she was open and talking bluntly about the pathetic, disgusting, and toxic work culture of Hollywood. On top of that, the producers and the directors that she was working with, they spun the story on her saying that she was the one who was difficult to work with. Another example is Brie Larson. When she was casted as Captain Marvel, the amount of trolling that happened against her. A lot of people commented how she's rude, she's disrespectful, and she was being woke just because she would talk about being a feminist. And like many other artists, she was also trolled for her appearance. We have many more examples. We have Chappell Roan, we have Miley Cyrus, we have Britney Spears, we have Lindsay Lohan, we have a lot of female celebrities who would be called disrespectful if they just call somebody out, if they call out a paparazzi, if they call out a reporter, or they call out an interviewer for not asking the right questions, they would be called rude and difficult to work with. We have a lot of problematic female celebrities as well. Like we have Jojo Siva, we have Sydney Sweeney, we have Blake Lively, we have Katy Perry, Jennifer Lopez. Many of these female celebrities do get the hate, and obviously rightfully so, for their actions and for whatever they endorse. But still, I believe that compared to these women, there are lot of male artists, male celebrities who have done much worse, and they still have a career to begin with. So now I'll talk about some of the male celebrities and what they have done, and they still have a career. So I'll start off with Kanye West, and I know that Kanye West was cancelled at one point. I know that he lost a lot of his brand deals because of the hate speech that he had committed. But why is it that a Diddy supporter, a Bill Cosby supporter, still have his concert being sold out? Why is it that he still has fans supporting him? And we already know the history of Kanye West, supporting Hitler, supporting Nazism, being anti Semitic, and also having like a White Lives Matter shirt. And to some extent, I feel like the amount of things that Kanye West has done for the sheer amount of shock value, his fans have sort of decided that, Kanye West is just being funny, or being, like some people think that Kanye West is telling the truth. Like, oh, Kanye West is, telling us the truth about the Jews in the industry. Some people think that Kanye West is just being funny. And it somewhat feels like how Trump supporters support Trump and find his remarks funny, just like how Kanye West fans find him funny. Another example would be Travis Scott. I am surprised Travis Scott still has fans when he has multiple times shown that he does not care about his fans. His fans are basically the money making commodity and they are not humans to him. For example, we already know the case of Astroworld, where there were 10 people who probably died and hundreds of people were injured in the trampling. But this is not just a one time thing. Travis Scott has encouraged a lot of rowdy behaviors in the past. For example, in 2015 in Lollapalooza, he was sued. He was actually charged for inciting concert goers to ignore security and to rush the stage. And in the same year, he had encouraged his fans to attack a man. And this was the man who actually took his shoe during he was crowd surfing. So as a response, he was quote unquote said fuck him up while he was spitting on the man. In 2017, he was arrested for a similar misconduct, and it was, I believe, in Northwest Arkansas. 2023, he had, in a way, assaulted a sound technician in Nebula, just because the sound technician asked him to lower the volume because it was not suitable for the venue. In 2019, a similar incident happened again, where in the event Rolling Loud, Travis Scott did not stop his performance, even though it was being very dangerously chaotic. Cardi B had stopped her performance, but Travis Scott continued despite the terrible conditions. Another example of a man who actually got away from whatever he did and was not scrutinized as much as a female celebrity, and that is Michael Fassbender. I did not know about what he had done. I did not know until I saw one of the influencers talking about it, which made me realize that wait, how come I never heard this? I must say his PR team is very strong because apparently it did resurface during the Me Too movement, but it sort of died down and nobody ever talked about it again. So, what had happened was that one of his exes had filed a restraining order against him, and she also filed a case against him for domestic violence. So, according to the reports, one of the incidents cited by the ex girlfriend Sunavin Andrews was that They were sitting in a restaurant with their friends having a dinner, and Andrew's ex-boyfriend, I believe, he came up to her to say hello, and this angered Michael a lot. So while they were driving back home, Michael Fassbender was screaming a lot and shouting at Andrews. When the car stopped at one point, Andrews got out of the passenger seat and she was walking towards the driver's seat to get the key out of the ignition. Before she could do that, Michael put the car in drive and he dragged his ex girlfriend along with the car. According to Andrews, she had to go to the hospital with a twisted left ankle, blown out kneecap, and a busted ovarian cyst. Yeah. The second instance that was cited in the report was of 2009 film festival, in which Fassbender was partying hard late at night, and Andrews was alone in her hotel room. So when Fassbender came back to the hotel room, he came along with a male friend, and his ex-girlfriend Andrews was not comfortable being in the same room as the two people. So she, in a way, checked into another room. But in the morning, when she came back in the room, she saw Fassbender sleeping in his own urine. When she tried to wake him up, he threw her over the chair and she ended up breaking her nose in result of that. But sure, like Rachel Zegler and many other female celebrities should be much more hated compared to a man who basically hits his own girlfriend. Another male celebrity I would like to talk about is Brad Pitt. And I'm surprised that this guy still is getting movies and fans. How is he getting any amount of support despite the fact that he is a complete piece of garbage? Many of you might have known about him and Angelina Jolie and their divorce, and and Angelina Jolie filing a case against him and everything. But if you go into the details, if you go through the court proceedings or the court documents and the things that are cited in the documents, this guy is so violent and abusive. Doesn't matter if it is his own wife, he is violent and abusive towards his own kids as well. On September 14, 2016, both Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, along with their children, were flying back to Los Angeles, and this flight was excruciating when you read the details. So, in this flight, Brad Pitt was being physically and verbally very much abusive towards both his wife and kids. At one point, he dragged Angelina into the washroom of the flight and he was yelling at her inside that bathroom. And he was also heard punching the ceiling of the washroom. And at one point, he also grabbed Angelina by the head and he was shaking her violently. And when the children came in defense of Angelina, he would lunge at them and choke them as well. Brad Pitt would yell and swear at Angelina Jolie and the children. He was also reported to be throwing beer and wine over their heads. He was pouring wine and beer over their heads. Once they reached Los Angeles, he would also not let them get out of the plane. He would constantly yell at them and not let them deplane for about 20 minutes. There was one point during the flight when Brad Pitt was choking one of the children and Angelina came in defense. So she lunged at his back to get Angelina Jolie off his back. Brad Pitt threw his back at the chair multiple times, and this actually led to Angelina getting injuries in her elbows and the back. There are a lot more details as well, but I'm surprised that this guy still has a platform. he still has a fandom. How is media protecting this man is beyond me. Another male celebrity that I would like to talk about is Chris Brown. And I know a lot of fans, if they are watching this video, they would be like, ah, not again. Because, firstly, how is this guy even having fans to defend his behavior? And it's not a one time behavior, it's a track record. So many people already know about the case of Rihanna filing a restraining order against him. Not just that, he was physically violent with her, he had assaulted her. So this was one case, and a lot of Chris Brown fans are like, oh, he and his fans both were like, oh, like he has learned from his mistake. He's being a man. He's going to own up his mistakes and take accountability for it and learn to be a better person. But his track record does not show that, because in 2012 he was involved in a brawl in a nightclub in New York City where roughly 8 people were injured. The same year he violated his restraining order which Rihanna had filed against him by attending the same Halloween party dressed as a terrorist. Yeah. In 2013, again, there's another assault charge. 2015, another assault charge. 2016, assault. 2017, assault. 2017, another girlfriend files a restraining order. 2018, uh, sued for sexual assault. 2021, struck a woman. 2021, another case, he drugged and raped someone. 2023, assault. 2024, assault. And DD connection. So I don't see that he has learned from his mistake, given that he assaults literally every chance that he gets. There is maybe a year or two gap between the assault charges, like maximum. Otherwise, he is always throwing his hands. So how are people still defending this artist, and how people still listen to him is beyond me. Media loves protecting men. Media loves protecting men despite whatever they do. Even if they commit sexual assault or maybe are physically violent towards somebody, the narrative would get shifted and the victim would instead get blamed. Victim, if it's a woman, which always is, so she would always be branded as the gold digger or somebody looking for their 10 minute of fame. One scenario to explain this case would be about Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo faced rape allegations against him, which were made by an American woman named Catherine, and this was in 2009. In 2019, a study was done about this case, and in this study, it was found that Portuguese media largely defended Cristiano Ronaldo as a national hero, and people kept praising him that he was such a great football player and he has a legacy and whatnot. They focused on his career, which was treated as a proof of his innocence, while at the same time they were dismissing and discrediting Catherine's allegation. Catherine reopened the case in 2018, stating that she was coerced into closing it. But when she did so, media, fans of Cristiano Ronaldo, and everybody treated her as a gold digger who was just looking for some money. This kind of behavior we can see in our day to day lives as well, because uh, if you see, whenever a woman comes out and talks about her experience where either she faced sexual violence or she faced sexual harassment, or she talks about her case where dowry was involved, any other case. And people are quick to spin the narrative to dismiss the victim's story and experience. Let's say if somebody's talking about a dowry case, men would come up talking about an alimony case. If somebody's talking about their case where they faced sexual harassment, they would bring out talking about that, oh, men face this too, and not all men. This would be like a very common comment you would hear a lot of times. And this is how women and their experiences get dismissed. And even if a woman comes out 11 years down the line saying that, hey, I was sexually harassed, or faced some level of harassment from this particular person who happens to be rich and famous, people are quick to spin the narrative and say that, oh, it's a false allegation. She's just doing it for money. She's just doing it for fame. I believe we live in a world where witch hunting is still very much prevalent. People love to witch hunt. Even if the witch herself is the victim, they want to make her the perpetrator. What exactly is a witch hunt? Witch hunting was very much prevalent during the 17th century, and during this, people would try to find witches. They were very much afraid of witch being demonic and, exercising rituals to summon demons and whatnot. So people were afraid of these creatures or witches, and they wanted to hunt them down so that they can bring a balance to their religious practices. But the thing is, witch hunt was predominantly done without any particular evidence. People would be framed, women would be framed of being a witch, and they would be executed. Many women, hundreds and hundreds of women, had gone through these witch trials, and they were killed in process of being found as a witch. And this was a practice which was done to contain women, to control women, and to make sure that they do not come out of the social constraints that are being put on them. As I had mentioned in my previous video, everything is political. I link it above. People are often afraid of the other side. People are afraid of others who might have different cultural beliefs and values because they see it as a threat to their way of life. And in the same sense, patriarchal society, even then, even now, it's afraid of women exercising liberty and freedom. It is afraid of women rising to power. And that's what drove a lot of people to witch hunt. And now, this ideology, after centuries of it being in practice, has become hardwired into our system. And even now, people love witch hunting. People love portraying other women as perpetrators. People love cherry picking women who are bad while dismissing men who are much, much worse and much larger in numbers. So, now one example we could talk about is Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. And I was following this case at the start. I was like, literally from the beginning, I was following this case, and I hated Amber Heard. I saw the evidences, I saw the reports and everything, and I thought this woman is very, very wicked. And as somebody who does not like the fact that false allegations do exist, like even though false allegations is a minority, I still don't like the fact that they exist because their existence is a threat to actual victims of violence and rape. So when I came across Amber Heard, I was very much angry at this one woman who is literally paving the way for every victim's misery. And I wanted to also, in a way, support male victims as well, because I believe that men can also be a victim when it comes to domestic violence. And throughout the case, I was, making fun of Amber Heard. I was supporting Johnny Depp until I came to know what Johnny Depp has been doing as well. Apparently, Johnny Depp had actually lost the case in UK, and it was filled with a substantial amount of evidence against him, where it was also stated that he had abused Amber Heard multiple times, like maybe even more than 14 times. Not just that, during the US trial was actually about something else. It was not domestic violence, it was defamation. So, in the US trial, Johnny Depp played very smart with his PR team. The PR team was so active in social media, making sure Johnny Depp's previous controversies of being abusive and toxic was hidden away. So, in this trial, I remember that a text message was resurfaced, and in that text message, Johnny Depp was saying foul things about Amber Heard. Like, I remember he did talk about wanting to rape her. And you are telling me this guy is supposedly innocent? But the media was out on a witch hunt. They found one perfect perpetrator who was a female, and they were raining down on her. Yes, she was abusive, but so was he. But people still now use the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case to dismiss other victims who talk about their cases of domestic violence. And this was such a shocking time for me as well, because I came to realize that I was also practicing internalized misogyny during this entire trial. I was being biased towards Johnny Depp just because I liked him as a pirate in one movie. Another case that I would like to talk about is the Sushant Singh Rajput case. So, Sushant Singh Rajput had committed suicide, but the media was busy framing Rhea Chakraborty as the harlot who was involved in his murder. And I still remember the amount of media coverage uh, around Rhea Chakraborty. It was insane. Literally, there was live broadcast of reporters trailing Rhea Chakraborty as she's driving away, and they would constantly report about whatever Rhea Chakraborty was doing. There are many male celebrities in Bollywood who are probably much, much worse than Rhea Chakraborty, and we have never seen that level of coverage being done for a man. In conclusion, we live in a patriarchal society where a woman is supposed to follow a lot of rigid rules to be accepted and to not be scrutinized to a huge degree. While at the other side, men can get away with anything. And there will always be a backing where people would support them, people would actually spin the narrative for them. Men don't have to do anything because others would do the thing for them. So I end my video here, and I would like to hear your thoughts and your opinions on this. In fact, I would love to hear your experiences where you've observed or you felt that the woman was not being treated at the same standard as a man. And if there is anyone who has a different opinion or a different experience, I would love to hear that as well. Bye bye.